We want revolution.
Bookmark words on standby.
Log online, fan page loaded and ready.
Player stats, loaded. Health check, go.
Weapons check. Eyes check, complete.
We have launched for the Informant podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Informant podcast. I'm Pistol Pete from Stockholm. This evening I have Jenna, Mig Death by Gucci.
Greetings.
Jennifer, the Mafia Wars Loot Lady.
Hello, hello.
And that's the extent of us this evening. So, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good. It's a good weekend.
It's pretty nice. We had felt the aftershocks of the earthquake in Oklahoma last night, though. That was weird.
Wow.
I was watching a video done by a student on the tornado in Joplin, Missouri, and all of a sudden the house started rattling. And in Kansas, when your house rattles, you start taking cover quickly because you think the rest of it's going in space. And so I was extremely nervous and immediately went to the window, which was, of course, probably not the smartest thing to do if that actually was the case, but there was no wind, which was a good indication it had nothing to do with a tornado.
That's crazy.
But it was pretty freaky.
So even in a panic, you're analytical. You run out to the window first to see.
I had to know what I was dealing with.
Even in a tornado, that's not a good idea, Pete.
Oh, I know that. So.
His statistical instincts took over.
Exactly. Check it out.
Let's analyze it first and then figure it out.
Well, it's pretty rare there, so have you ever even felt one before?
No. Earthquakes? No, never. We do have a fault line that runs really far out in western Kansas, as I understand it, but I don't even think there's ever been anything on it in years and years and years. But,
times are changing.
Yeah, but
the end is near.
Yeah.
2012.
Ooh.
Did you hear that guy finally gave up on his predictions?
Thank God.
Who, Nostradamus?
No.
The crazy guy, the newer crazy guy.
The guy that kept predicting the end of the world and kept getting it wrong, and he eventually just said now that he's not going to do any more predictions. He's
finally admitted to the Alzheimer's.
As it's happening, he'll yell, "I was right, see?"
Yeah.
Well, he had it for 6 months ago, and then again for, this last week?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, crazy.
So, anyway.
We'll just have to keep on trucking.
Yep. So, what's new going on in the game?
Is anything?
I'm kind of slow.
We're still attacking zombies.
I'm amazed that's still going on.
It's a day. It was supposed to end 10 days, which would have been yesterday, but they said in about 10 days. So I have a feeling because it's the weekend, they're waiting.
They'll probably address it Monday.
And now I have a question for you. When they revert back to the old way the game was, are you guys going to have to go into the code?
Oh, yeah.
And work out the zombie scratch?
Yeah. Well, no, we shouldn't have to deal with what caused the hang-ups with a lot of the scripts because we've accommodated for that. But we will have to, if they go back to the old ice badges and the ice seasons do return, then we'll have to change Assassinator to have the ice badges again.
Oh, okay.
Which
so
is not a big deal.
Big of a deal.
No, and it won't affect as many as the scripts as the last one did. So
we'll keep you guessing.
Yep. So that shouldn't be a big problem for us. And then, we haven't had a lot of things going on either. I mean, so that's why I was asking more what was going on in the game, because the only thing we're really working on is still just trying to get that special toolbar out, and it's been out and being tested, and
I get to beta test it.
Yep. So we've got a few people testing it just to make sure that it's gonna behave as we expect. So
my brother's in town. Well, he's leaving tonight, but he was in town this weekend, and we played poker a lot, so I didn't get a whole lot of time to do other stuff.
He doesn't play Mafia Wars?
Oh, no. But my sister-in-law she said, "Oh, I have this new game I play. It's called Cafe World." I said, "No, don't do it." And then we were sitting on the couch, and she goes, "It keeps sticking, like it keeps freezing." I said, "Welcome to Zynga Games."
Oh, that's funny.
She was getting into it.
It's probably time, or it is probably worth some time to start addressing the responses we get to some of our shows and posts.
I know.
I know everybody's not in it for what's going on in our personal lives and everything else, but we do spend a fairly balanced, show talking about personal issues as well as, what's going on in the game and the changes and all the rest of it. And, I don't know what to say. I mean, we're never going to make everybody happy. And if we just did a solely 100% show only about game, people would be sick of that too.
We would
So,
be robots.
yeah,
It's hard to please everybody, so
be Zynga drones.
it's a little frustrating though, because we do the best we can.
But what brought this to light was there's some pretty hateful comments that came in about the stuff that was discussed last time about the changes in MIG. And we're here to talk about all types of families. I mean, it's not MIG just happens to be the one that has a presence on the show because of Chester and Jana. Others are welcome to share their experiences with their families through the Rant line, and we'd be happy to air those and whatever else. We want this to be for the players. It's just so happens that two of one specific family reside on the show. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how to reach out anymore to tell everybody that, we want the show to be there for them and about them. And we've, tried that a little bit with Player Spotlight. And then, when we invite people from some of the big other families and they're not interested. So you can't have it both ways and say, well, you can't only talk about MIG, and then when you're given an opportunity to talk about your family, you don't want to come on.
Because you're welcome.
Yeah,
come on.
you're welcome.
And there are examples. Like I used ass a lot, but it's something that other families can relate to.
Exactly.
And we talk about Spock. We talk about a lot of families. It's just
Yeah.
our own personal experience is easier to talk about.
Right.
I got a comment on the blog from somebody that said he was not going to listen to our podcast anymore because he doesn't give a crap about clan drama or personal issues.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, and it's our show. I mean, I think as people get to know us, so of course we're going to do a little chit-chatting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of rude, I thought.
Well, and again, it gets to the aspects of this game that's any different than anyone else. If you don't want clan drama, then go play Mafia Wars 2. You're going to have it if you play Mafia Wars 1 because Mafia Wars 1 is a social game, and social games have social interactions, and social interactions have issues. If you don't want that, then go play a game that you never have to interact with anyone else other than to accept gifts or give gifts.
There's plenty of them.
And there are
And even
plenty
if you're
of them.
not in a family, it's a good idea to know what they are and what their purpose is. So if you find yourself at odds with someone and then all of a sudden you have everyone from their family attacking you, you're going to understand it a little bit better.
Exactly. That's what this, we're here to inform.
And all of our families have had listeners come to our families from learning about them on our show.
Yes,
So
we have.
we all have that. So, what
And we can talk about anything we want.
Exactly.
But we want to make everyone happy, so.
Well, we try, but we can't. So here we
I'm
are.
trying to think if there's any tips we have that we haven't talked about in a really long time for the new starting out players. I know we talked about that now they have to start out in Chicago, which is kind of different than what we all did. So I guess to that point, get through your 25 levels as fast as you can so you can ignore Chicago and go back to New York.
I think, like getting a Mafia 501 is important.
That's true too. And so how do you get it?
Well, the best ways are to go to the fan pages and request. Don't put an add me on the fan page, but go to the people that are commenting and are actively engaged in the posts and send them friend requests.
Right.
And your key is to get people that actually play Mafia Wars.
Now, do you do on your fan page a regular add me post?
Periodically, like we're not consistent like you guys at Spotcom are,
Yeah.
but every now and then we'll throw one up there.
Yeah, and we're not the only page that does it, but yeah, we do have either a Friday or Saturday. It depends on which one of us
Or
remembers.
Monday or Tuesday.
No, it's usually not that far along, but usually Friday or Saturday we have.
Oh, I saw one on Wednesday once.
Oh, whatever. So we have an add me post that's the only time of the week, whichever day it happens to be, that we allow people to actually post on our wall with requests for add me's in order to build up their 501 family. And then to that point, though, that once you have your 501 family, the key for any new player is to make sure that you have enough weapons in each of the four now categories or 5? 4?
5.
5 categories because of the henchmen, correct. So you have to have at least 501 of the best items you can possibly get in each of those categories to get yourself the best attack and defense, Mafia attack and defense. There's some old shows that talk about what type of player you might want to be, and really that's dependent on what you want to accomplish in the game. So you can have, whether or not you want to be a fighter, whether or not you want to be someone that just gets jobs done in a hurry, then you want to be more of an energy account or a stamina account to be able to, continually level. And there's lots of different strategies. And some of the older shows, we, went into a little bit more detail on that. And, we can certainly address that again, too. And again, that's what we leave the tip lines open for, is that if you have questions, comments, things you'd like us to talk about, then, certainly bring it up.
Well, and to add to that, too, is the hired guns. A lot of people don't like to add a lot of people.
True.
And are afraid of that. So that is one way to get to it. You're not going to get gifted, but it is a good way to get to your 501 if you're paranoid about people.
Right.
And that's a benefit of adding people from the Spockholm site for your Mafia, is because they're more likely to generate the gift links. So then you can run your link scanners, the Giftinator, and you're going to get all the gifts you need without really having to do a whole lot.
Exactly. Which helps a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, and it really helps with family progression too, because it's there's easier ways to get your 100 points. You can just run the loose slots and spin slot machines, or go do some operations. But I like doing the gift method, because not only are you getting your points for family progression, but you're getting 100 gifts. 200 if you really want.
Sure, yeah.
So, you can load up on special parts or whatever, with all these new districts out in Chicago, those 2 times mastery boosts are very valuable, especially on the gold levels. They won't work on the ruby levels, but the more of those you have, the more energy you're going to save.
Exactly.
So you could just go collect 200 mystery boost packs and hope to get some, or you can get them from the daily take. But I'm finding the daily takes are harder to accept now, or harder to find ones that have something useful
or worth accepting.
Yeah, because
that's true.
well, and the nice thing is you can look and see what's available before you accept it, and if you don't like it, you can close it out and try to find something better, and it won't count as one of your 5.
That is a nice touch.
Yes.
You're not stuck with it, which I catch myself most of the time just closing out of it because it's just nothing I use.
I close out my own half the time.
I do too.
There. And I'm like, hell no, would I even post this? And I wish more people would get into that habit of not posting it. If there's nothing useful there, don't post it. If there's one useful thing, copy the link and send it to one of your buddies, or send it to, just get that out of the news feeds if it's not going to help anybody.
True.
Otherwise, it's just spam. So anything going on with the blog, Jen?
In the game is not much has happened. We kind of went over everything on the last show. There are a lot of new loot items in the inventory, and I don't know if they're like getting ready for the holidays and just getting everything written so they don't have to do a whole lot of work. But there's evidence of 2 new secret districts coming, one in Brazil and one in Chicago. All the loot items, mastery items, and consumables are there.
I hope they pace themselves here.
I know. We did get a new boss. His name is Jimmy Lenshin. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Did you see what he was doing to us?
Yeah.
Giving everybody the finger.
Yeah. Double finger. Like, not
bad boy.
And I'm sure they did that on purpose.
Well, of course. They had to have, right?
There's no one sitting in an office getting yelled at. How could you flip off the players?
Yeah, till they realized that they didn't think about it.
Yeah. But my family was more like laughing about the way he looks, because he kind of looks like a girl.
He's got some trippy eyes.
Yeah. He's very feminine. So, and it's the same thing. And we already knew what the loot items were going to be. And the only thing that was puzzling and different about this time is, historically, we've only had 4 bosses now? Yeah, this is our 4th one. When the new one comes out, historically that one was the one you can keep playing over and over. This guy, you have to use the cooldown timer if you want to fight him again. And Clyde Axworthy is still, you can keep fighting him over and over. So I bet you they switched it thinking, because it's new, people are going to want to do it more, and maybe they'll use reward points to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like on this new one, the rage button the rage meter goes up 10 points instead of 8.
You know, I thought that was my imagination.
Every time you click them. So you're going to need a few more arsonists if your family has a system down. Now, a lot of families are still trying to figure this out. And I really believe one thing people don't realize is